Welcome to a deeper dive into the profound world of Rabindranath Tagore, a name that resonates with artistic brilliance, spiritual depth, and an unwavering commitment to humanity. Born on May 7, 1861, in Calcutta, now Kolkata, to Rabindranath Tagore and Saroda Devi, Rabindranath entered a family steeped in intellectual and artistic pursuits. His lineage itself was a testament to progressive thinking, with his father being an active member of a reforming Hindu organization that sought to promote a monotheistic interpretation of the Upanishads, moving away from rigid Hindu orthodoxy, which profoundly shaped Tagore's worldview. Though his father initially encouraged English studies and classical music, it was the vibrant, artistic atmosphere of his childhood home, filled with exceptionally talented siblings, that truly ignited Tagore's lifelong passion for the arts, fostering a spirit of curiosity and observation that would later permeate his works. He began writing at an astonishingly early age, with his very first poem appearing in the Amrita Bazar Patrika on February 25, 1875, marking the nascent stages of a prolific literary career that would span decades. While a brief attempt at legal studies was made to fulfill his father's aspirations for him to become a barrister, Tagore's true calling lay firmly in the realm of literature and philosophy, a path he pursued with unparalleled dedication. Tagore's life, however, was not devoid of profound personal sorrows and traumas that deeply impacted his emotional landscape and, consequently, his creative output. At the tender age of 14, he experienced the immense loss of his mother, Saroda Devi. This initial bereavement was, tragically, just the beginning of a relentless series of personal tragedies that would test the very core of his being. For months after his marriage to Mrinalini Devi in 1883, his beloved sister-in-law, Kodambari Devi, a cherished friend and significant intellectual influence with whom he shared a deep bond and passion for literature, committed suicide. This loss left him utterly devastated, a pain that found its way into works like his novella Anastania, The Broken Nest, believed to be a reflection of her story. To help him cope, his father sent him to manage the family's vast ancestral estates in Shalidahar, then in East Bengal, present-day Bangladesh. This period, while born of grief, proved transformative, bringing him into direct contact with the simple, struggling, yet resilient lives of rural folk, imbuing his later writings with a profound sympathy for the common person. His father passed away in 1905, and in 1907, his youngest and beloved son, Shamindranath, succumbed to cholera at the tender age of 11. This particularly devastating loss shook Tagore to his core. Yet, amidst this unbearable grief, Tagore found a unique path to resilience. He famously wrote of his son's passing, "At a particular point of time, my mind seemed to float in a sky where there was neither darkness nor light, but a profound depth of calm, a boundless sea of consciousness without a ripple or murmur. I saw the vision of my son lying in the heart of the infinite, and I was about to cry to my friend, who was nursing the boy in the next room, that the child was safe, that he had found his liberation." This profound acceptance of loss, viewing it as a liberation into the infinite, became a cornerstone of his philosophy. He did not deny the pain, but rather transcended it by seeking a deeper meaning in existence, recognizing the transient nature of physical life and the eternal connection of the soul to the universal. This period of intense sorrow, far from stifling his creativity, catalyzed it, particularly influencing Gitanjali, song offerings. This collection of spiritual and devotional poems, for which he received the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913, became his direct engagement with grief and faith. The fervent yearning for union with God, often personified as a beloved, in Gitanjali can be understood as a spiritual solace in the face of immense personal emptiness. His unique spirituality, often contrasting with rigid orthodoxy, frequently employed imagery from nature, the songs of birds, the changing seasons, the light, the simple elements of creation, to symbolize and describe the ubiquitous presence of God, seeing nature as a direct path to understanding and connecting with the divine, a connection deepened during his time managing estates, away from urban life. The poems also emphasize the paramount importance of human connection and serving humanity as a route to spiritual realization, believing that God could be found not just in secluded temples, but in the midst of everyday life, through acts of humility and service to others, especially the poor and downtrodden. And a recurring motif is the surrender of ego and worldly desires to achieve spiritual enlightenment, making Gitanjali widely considered a work of mysticism where the real world is perceived not just through the senses, but through a deeper, intuitive, and spiritual understanding. Beyond his poetry, Tagore's genius extended to novels, with Gora standing as a towering example of his narrative prowess and intellectual depth. This sprawling and thought-provoking novel, set in late 19th century Calcutta during the British Raj, delves into the complex social, political, and religious landscape of colonial India, exploring themes that remain profoundly relevant even today. At its heart, Gora revolves around the titular character, a staunch and fervent advocate of orthodox Hinduism, whose beliefs clash with the more liberal, Western-influenced Brahmo Samaj, their intertwined personal relationships highlighting the ideological clashes prevalent at the time, making it a profound exploration of identity, nationhood, religious tolerance, and social reform. In all his novels and philosophy, Tagore places humanity at the core, advocating for the inherent dignity and potential of every individual, transcending narrow distinctions, and promoting empathy and genuine human connection over materialism. He expressed concern about a civilization that reduces human relationships to mere utility and prioritizes material gain over spiritual and ethical development, advocating for a more holistic revelation of man, not as a power, but as a spirit, and asserting that spiritual fulfillment is found in active engagement with the world and service to others, as the divine resides within every human being. Tagore was a fierce critic of aggressive, exclusionary nationalism, which he famously described as a great menace that compartmentalizes humanity and fosters conflict, firmly believing in a broader sense of global citizenship and cultural synthesis, celebrating cultural diversity as a source of richness and advocating for mutual respect. At the heart of his universalism is the idea of spiritual unity. The profound belief that all individuals, regardless of their religious or cultural background, are inherently connected to a larger, divine whole, as powerfully illustrated in his novel The Home and the World, where the characters of Nikhil, representing a more humanist and inclusive vision, and Sandeep, embodying aggressive, narrow-minded nationalism, clash ideologically, with the central female character, Bimala, caught between these two opposing forces, mirroring the societal dilemmas of the time. Tagore's philosophical thought culminates in the concept of creative unity, particularly articulated in his collection of essays by the same name, a profound vision that seeks to reconcile apparent dualities and find an underlying harmony in all existence, emphasizing the indispensable role of creativity in achieving this unity. At its core, creative unity is about recognizing the inherent oneness that underlies the vast diversity of the universe, which we perceive and express through human imagination, consciousness, and spirit, and especially through art and love. Art, for Tagore, is not merely imitation or entertainment, it is the highest expression of this creative unity. When we create art, be it poetry, music, or painting, we are not just arranging materials but giving form to an inherent ideal of unity, with the joy we find in art coming from its ability to reveal perfect forms of this underlying oneness, striking sympathetic chords with this music of unity in our own being, transcending utility as its purpose is to simply be, to reveal unity in its form. Love, for Tagore, is the ultimate means of achieving creative unity, as he believed that the one in me seeks union in love for its fulfillment. It seeks itself in others, transcending individual ego and merging with the universal, leading to a profound joy that is ultimate because it is the ultimate truth, a concept deeply resonating with the Upanishadic idea of Sadvaitam is Anandam, the one is love. Tagore sharply differentiated between construction and creation. Construction is utilitarian, driven by needs and purposes, like a water vessel designed only for holding water, while creation is born of the joy of unity-seeking expression, having no ulterior motive and being a fulfillment in itself, like a beautiful water vessel that evokes delight. Creative unity also implies a harmony between our inner consciousness and the outer world, fostering a sense of wholeness and belonging, vital for personal fulfillment and for creating a more peaceful and interconnected world, and stands in stark contrast to forces that promote division, such as aggressive nationalism, materialism, and narrow-mindedness, which he saw as disruptions to the inherent harmony of existence, leading to conflict and fragmentation. His vision was of a world where diverse cultures and individuals could coexist and enrich each other through mutual understanding and respect, rather than seeking dominance. One of Tagore's most philosophical poems beautifully encapsulates the eternal human struggle of perspectives through the metaphor of two birds. One soaring freely over the forest, representing chaos, freedom, and an expansive view of reality, and the other endeavoring to safeguard itself within a cage, symbolizing order, security, and a contained interpretation of existence. Both are depicted as being right about their individual interpretations of reality and survival. One seeks the security of the cage, while the other yearns for the boundless freedom of the skies, facing their own struggles but fundamentally having different wants and needs. This poignant story within the poem depicts the epic struggle between chaos and order within two souls, highlighting their inability to fully make others comprehend their unique perspectives, which frequently becomes the root cause of conflict and misunderstanding in human relationships, profoundly connecting to our own souls. Tagore's works, whether poetry, novels, or essays, consistently offer a profound sense of intellectual and emotional connection, fostering a unique relationship of reason and love with the reader, inviting contemplation, inspiring introspection, and ultimately, enriching the human spirit. His deep quest for truth and inner wisdom, coupled with his belief in the divine residing within every human being and accessible through everyday experiences, nature, and human relationships, makes his literary legacy truly timeless. Rabindranath Tagore was more than just a writer, he was a seer, a humanist, and a universalist whose ideas continue to illuminate paths towards understanding, harmony, and creative unity in a complex world. What aspect of Tagore's philosophy do you find most compelling?